What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, your pop culture best friend. And as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. It appears we are going to continue living through these historic events together on this podcast because, as I'm sure you all know, Pope Francis has passed away less than 24 hours after meeting JD Vance. And I'm just saying, if this was going on during like the Salem witch trials era, we would have had him hanged in a public square because we would have said that was witchcraft. The fact that they met on Easter Sunday and he passed away, and it's like, it's not just like anybody, it's like the Pope. Literally, the Pope passed away 24 hours after Easter, after meeting JD Vance. Like, tell me that isn't some weird conspiracy shit. And also, like, not to like out myself, but I had no idea what a conclave was until the Stanley Tucci movie came out last year. And now, only a few months after the Oscars and, award season is over, where this movie was like a leading runner in the campaigns, we have our first conclave in 12 years. Like, something feels very suspicious. I'm not going to get into like the conspiracy theory side of it because like, just not what I'm here to do. However, my suspicion is raised and I am blaming JD Vance on the death of Pope Francis. I said it. That being said, like I said, I hope you guys had a fabulous weekend. Hope everybody is enjoying their week thus far. I actually have had a fabulous week thus far, despite it being only Tuesday. I went to go see Flo last night in Brooklyn. My boyfriend got me tickets for us for Christmas. So it was like, a little bit of a wait time. I love a Christmas present that's like, you get it on Christmas, but you get it, it's an event. So it comes a little bit later, it's like a second Christmas, a Christmas in April, if you will. So we went last night. It was at the Brooklyn Paramount, which is one of my favorite venues. Actually, I might go on record and say Brooklyn Paramount is my favorite venue in New York. It is so fabulous. That's where I saw Charlie last year. I saw Halsey there. It's just beautiful. It's so easy to get to, at least for me. I think it's for most people, honestly. There's a lot of train lines around it. It's beautiful. It's huge. It has like an elevated floor. They have bars all over the place. The staff is always so nice. Like, it is truly a premier venue. But regardless, enough about the venue. Let's talk about Flo. You guys know I love a girl group. Like, there are few things in the world that I adore more than a group of badass females up on stage doing their thing together. And that is exactly what I saw Flo doing last night. They were giving us girl group realness, vocals, choreography, the outfits, like everything they were serving on this stage was fantastic. And I do believe they still have a bit left of their tour. I know it was split into two, like openers wise, because I really wanted to see Jay Stevens, who's opening for the second half of the second leg of the tour. But I had Cherry, who obviously I'm going to support an opener regardless, but I do love Jay Stevens. So I was really hoping she would be at my show. And I think she takes over like literally tomorrow. But that being said, the tour is still going on. So if anybody is interested in going, check out their tour dates. It was so much fun. Also, Cherry, who opened, was such a vibe. She was so much fun. She was just like party girl up on stage, just like having fun, feeling herself. She was gorgeous. She was stunning. She was fabulous. I loved her. I loved Flo. It was great. If you are not listening to Flo yet and you're into like that Destiny's Child, TLC, just like that R&B kind of girl group vibe, tune into Flo. They are fabulous. Their album just came out last year and it is so good. I love that album. I love them. They were great. It was such a fun little night out, a fun way to start the week. And now I get to be here and talk to you guys. I mean, what more could I ask for? Things are just fabulous. And that being said, I think that's all I have for our little intro moment. And I think let's get into our Drew releases, our first segment of the show, our new music releases from last week and our new music releases coming up this week. We only had one release from last week, but we have a lot coming up this week. So it's a very stacked Friday and I'm very excited. But last week we had a very exciting release from Miss Addison Rae, Headphones On, the fourth single, I'm now finding out, from her upcoming album that comes out in June. I'm not even going to try to sit here and be like, this album rollout makes sense, because it doesn't, because she's been releasing these singles since like last summer. But you know what? It's Addison Rae's world and I am just living in it. I love this song. I actually uploaded a reaction video on YouTube and I've been getting a lot of really positive response on it. So thank you to everybody who watched. Thank you to all the new subscribers I got from it. I got a handful of new people. So I hope you guys come over to the podcast. But regardless, loving this new song. It was so much fun. It gave me like early 2000s, like it's like breathy and fun and fresh and very like spring song, if that makes sense. I love the visual element to it. I love like the reality versus like her fantasy world and the pink hair. It was very Tumblr, very just like, you know, that aesthetic. If you watch the video, you know what I'm saying. But nonetheless, I am so here for this Addison Rae era. I am so excited for this new album. I cannot wait to see what comes next for her. We will see, you know, as the album rollout continues, we will see what she releases. We're about 2 months, almost to the date. It comes out June 6th. So we have just like over a month left, which is very exciting. I cannot wait for this album. And we will chat about the rest of the rollout as it rolls out, as we do here at Too Pop to Handle. But like I said, we have a lot on the music agenda for this upcoming Friday. First up, we have Megan Thee Stallion releasing her new single, Whenever. Very excited for this. It seems that she's just going to be talking her shit, which I love when Megan Thee Stallion does anything, but I especially love when Megan Thee Stallion talks her shit on a track. Very excited for this. We also have Maud Latour releasing her first single since her first debut album, Sugar Water, that came out last year. Her new single is called Miss America, so I'm very excited to see what's in store for this next Maud era. Very excited for that. We also have Coco Jones releasing her new album, Why Not More. Really excited for that. I kind of fell off listening to the singles as they came out. I remember when the lead single came out, I really liked it, and then I just kind of got mixed up in the shuffle of like everything else happening in my life, but I'm very excited for this album to come out on Friday. Very excited for that. And then we still don't necessarily know if this is coming out on Friday or not, but Universal Music Turkey accidentally posted something that said Lord's new single, What Was That, is going to be coming out this Friday. Who knows if it is? I was saying last week, I thought it was going to either come out last Friday or this Friday. So we will see whenever she chooses to drop this song. Regardless, I am sat for Lord Summer. So I will wait however long she wants, but don't make us wait too long, girl. Like, you know, like I get that you want to like, you know, build up the hype, but like, come on, girl, let's get this single out. So hopefully we will have a new Lord single this Friday. If there is a new Lord single this Friday, there will be a new reaction video for me on Friday. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a reaction for Megan, Maud, or Coco, but Lord, I will absolutely do a reaction video to you. So keep your eyes peeled for that. If you ever want to know like what I'm posting or what's going on, you can always head to our socials. We are at Too Pop to Handle on Instagram, and I will always post any new links to any new content there. Or of course, just go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe there, and you will always know when we have a new video coming out. And that wraps up our Drew releases. Very exciting Friday on the horizon. And that being said, I think it's time to kick off our rapid fire pop culture moments, some moments from the week that were just too pop to handle. Kicking it off with kind of a quick one, but just kind of wrapping up Coachella 2025 and like Coachella Weekend 2, anything major that happened. First things first, I just have to say Lady Gaga's mic not working, and the way that they handed her that mic as she went down on the lift during the opening track was so smooth. And also you could see how annoyed she was that the mic wasn't working. And I was like, oh, this is a performer. She's getting notes from Beyonce. She was like, somebody's getting fired. Somebody literally fucked my mic up, and now I have to go on there and make up for this lost time that we just had. But that handoff that they did was so smooth. My boyfriend and I were watching the video trying to find when it happened, and we literally like zoomed in and pinpointed. I was like, oh bitch, these are trained professionals. It was so well done. We also got Addison Rae as a special guest during Charlie's set, which I kind of predicted last week. I just thought it would make sense for her to come out for Weekend 2 after her song comes out as a little promotion. She also sang Party for You this weekend, Charlie, which she didn't sing last weekend. I was really surprised that she didn't, because it's having such a moment on TikTok, and it is such like a fan favorite of Charlie's, I feel like. So I was surprised she didn't sing in Weekend 1, but I guess Weekend 1 did get Lord, Billy, and Troy. So the least she could do is perform Party for You at Weekend 2. Like, I get it. But I'm very excited to see like what makes it from the Coachella set onto the Brat Arena tour. I know it's starting, I think today actually, in Texas, and I'm going next Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. So it won't be on next week's episode. Maybe I'll do like a bonus episode talking about the Brat tour after I go to it. That could be fun. I have the time, so why not do it? Regardless, very excited to see what Charlie has in store for this new Brat tour and what's gonna carry over from the Sweat tour, from Coachella, and kind of, keep this tour going. Very excited for that. Another fabulous weekend for Charlie. And on the topic of Charlie, kind of something we talked about last week, where she got all that internet drama, all that pushback because she was wearing that sash that said Little Miss should be the headliner. Green Day had the opportunity to do the funniest thing possible, and they did it. Billy Joe Armstrong literally called somebody out in the crowd. It was like, hey, can I borrow your hat? And was wearing a Brat hat on stage, which is so funny. Also, the drummer, his name's escaping my mind. I apologize. Jocelyn, don't come for me. If you guys don't know, Jocelyn is one of my best friends, and she's a huge Green Day fan. I don't know the drummer's name. I apologize. But he was wearing a sash that said Miss was the headliner or something along those lines. So I love to see that they're just kind of like in on the joke. And like I said last week, this this was not a dig from Charlie at Green Day. It was just Charlie being bratty. And also, like, when you really think about it, Green Day is brat. Like, they've been so going against the grain and so vocal about so many political things and just like not afraid to use their platform for the greater good, essentially, really, since they started. So they're kind of like, they are brat. They've been brat. And the fact that like people were trying to pit Charlie and Green Day against each other, it was like, no. This is not what we're doing. Like, we're not going to pit two bad bitches against each other, you know? Like, they can coexist. Charlie can be funny, and clearly Green Day can be funny as well. So I love that it was such a fun little callback and like such a fun way for them to be like, can you guys shut the fuck up and just like enjoy the sets and enjoy somebody having a sense of humor? I love that moment. And a moment that I didn't love this weekend, and this kind of goes into, it's not like a full story, but it kind of like has like layers to it, was these videos of Justin Bieber at Coachella this weekend. He did not look okay. And like, I'm not saying this to like be funny or like make a rage bait clip. Like, I'm not like, he truly looked out of his body. And then there was the video of him like smoking a joint, I think it was, and Hailey literally had to move his little brother away from him and his friends. You could like visibly tell she was annoyed at what was going on and like removed his little brother away from him and his friends. And he just didn't look right. Like, he looked, something was off. The guy next to him was like holding him up. Like, it was just, something is going on. He's also been posting really weird shit on Instagram. He's been like seen saying weird shit to the paparazzi, which he's always kind of been a troll to the paparazzi, but with everything going on, it's just really strange. And then on Sunday, on Easter, Hailey posted a photo of her and their baby without Justin. And then yesterday, Hailey announced that she has ovarian cysts. Like, there's something going on with the Bieber family. And it's really, and I say this with love, I think the Biebers need to like take a step back from the media and really like go dark for a little bit and just like figure out what's going on, because and I say this like genuinely like as an endearing person, I'm like, something is going to happen. A bad thing is going to happen. Like, there's something on the horizon, just watching how Justin's acting, now knowing about Hailey's health, Justin not being in the photos for Easter, like something weird is going on with the Biebers, and I don't know what it is. And again, I'm not here to be a conspiracy theory podcast. Like, I'm not here to like be like, this is what this means and da 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 da. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to just like talk about pop culture and like have a fun time. But something is rubbing me the wrong way with all the stuff going on with the Biebers, with Hailey, with Justin, with everything going on. I think they would benefit from just like a blackout for a little bit, get offline, maybe like 3 months, just like figure your shit out and then come back to the public light. Because every time they're in the public light, something weird is going on, and it just doesn't seem great. I don't know. Let's move on though. Like I said, that is the wrap on Coachella. Coachella 2026 tickets are already going on sale next Friday. If anybody is interested, you can go grab them if you want. And we will, keep this ball rolling. Next up, some other concert news. SZA and Kendrick kicked off the Grand National Tour over the weekend. The tour kicked off on April 19th at the US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota. There are 52 songs on this set list. 52. That is so crazy. The show goes about 2 hours and 45 minutes from what I could tell online. And I think they did a really good job at like handing off the set list. This got announced. We were talking about it on the show, and I was saying, I wonder if they're going to do like how Kesha and Macklemore did their co-headlining, where it was like Kesha went first some nights and then Macklemore went second, or they would flip, or like Jay-Z and Beyonce, or Charlie and Troy, where they like hand off, do a set of their own, and hand off and do another set. Like, I wasn't sure. They are going the route that is like a more intertwined set, which I'm here for. I don't like when they do like a chunk of one and then the chunk of the other. I like when it's kind of intertwined, because I'm more of a SZA fan than I am a Kendrick fan. I like Kendrick, but I know a lot more SZA songs than I do Kendrick. That being said, if it was like SZA went first and then Kendrick went second, I'd be like, oh, okay, like I wish SZA was back on stage. So I'm happy to see that they're kind of going intertwined. And I've told you guys, I think they are just like musical soulmates. Like, they just work so well together. So I'm so excited for my show. It's in 2 weeks. It's coming up. So I'm very excited for this show. It's going to be so much fun. Of course, the internet is also having a field day. There's like this one clip I saw going around, and one of the dancers like almost dropped SZA, and they're like, oh my God, they didn't rehearse enough. They're not ready for the show. They're so unprepared. SZA is lazy. Everyone's always being like, SZA is so lazy and SZA is so this. And like, SZA is a lot of things, but like, she's still on stage doing a 3-hour show, and you guys are taking this one moment, clipping it, and being like, this tour is a mess, SZA's a mess, why would you pay to go see her, the mic is off, it's like, people are just so negative. It's really crazy the way people will find one bad thing in a 3-hour show. And that's what they're harping on. I'm like, did you not see the part where she comes down from the fucking ceiling of the stadium dressed as a butterfly and sings Saturn? Like, did you not see the giant bugs that are chasing her around the stage and she's doing like killer choreography? Also, if you watched the clip of her getting almost dropped, she didn't even get dropped. They just like slipped up and she had to like get her balance. If you watch the clip after that, they go into such killer choreography. I'm like, it's not like this was just like a mess the whole show. They had a slip up. Not everybody is Beyonce. Not everybody is going to be perfect every single beat. And the way that people just expect these pop stars to be like 100% on all the time, no mistakes, no mess ups. If they have a single slip up, a single mess up, they are a mess. They're not prepared. It's like, can we fucking let these people live? It is just crazy. SZA also announced that she's releasing a beauty brand called Not Beauty. I wrote about it in my Substack newsletter over the weekend. So if you're ever looking for some extra pop culture moments from the week that were just too pop to handle between episodes, I'll link my Substack down below. But I wrote all about it in this week's newsletter. And what is cool and how it ties into the tour is that it's only available at these special pop-ups. You don't need tickets to the tour to go to the pop-up, which I also think is really cool because it doesn't exclude people. You know, if you couldn't get tickets, you can't afford it, but you want to be a part of this pop-up, you can still go and, you know, get the makeup, do your thing. And SZA's showing up to every pop-up, she said. So she will be there at some point. I don't know if she's meeting people or what she's doing, but she will be at the pop-ups, which is pretty cool. You don't see that a lot where artists are at every single pop-up. It's usually just the big cities, but she said she's making it a point to show up to every single pop-up that is going on during this tour. So it's linked, like I said, in my newsletter. I think it's like notbeauty.com. Just if you Google it, it'll come right up. She's doing lip products first. I don't know what's going to come more after that, but SZA is on a new beauty venture, which is very exciting. And another plug for myself, if anybody is looking for SZA or Kendrick tickets, you could use code 2POP2HANDLE on SeatGeek and save $20 off your first order. So go see SZA, save some money, and have a good time. Moving into our next moment from the week that was just too pop to handle, Trace Cyrus is making some headlines because when is the Cyrus family not using Miley Cyrus to make themselves relevant again? It just seems to be a common thread. But Trace is slamming Katy Perry, saying that she is lame and that she is copying his sister's career. So he posted an in-feed reel, literally not even a story. This is living on his Instagram grid right now. You can literally go watch it. And he said that Miley cut her hair off and it broke the internet and everybody freaked out. And so she bleached it blonde. And so her team said, we should do that with you, Katy. And Katy's like, yeah, we should. Should we do it like slightly different? But no, we're going to do it exactly the same. Miley started working with Mike Will Made It, Wiz Khalifa, Juicy J. Remember Jay's on My Feet? Katy started transitioning to do more hip hop stuff. And guess what? It didn't fucking work. And then they tried some EDM song or some shit because EDM is hot. Didn't fucking work. Now we're going to send your ass to space. Didn't fucking work. It's not working. It's backfiring. Stop. And I just like don't know why Trace Cyrus feels the need to put himself in this conversation because Katy Perry going to space has nothing to do with Miley Cyrus. And yes, they both cut their hair and tried different genres, but I didn't think there was ever a conversation surrounding Katy Perry copying bangers. Like I, as a huge Miley fan and a big Katy fan, like I never saw that as a conversation people were having online. Maybe I just missed it. I don't know. But like this just seemed so out of left field and so random. And also with like everything that goes on with the Cyrus family, they truly are like there's just such like a weird conversation around that family. Like there's always something going on, whether it's Billy sending voice memos about Tish or Noah dating or Tish dating Noah's ex or whatever that whole situation was. Like there's always something going on with the Cyrus family and they're somehow always bringing Miley back into it. And I'm like, can you just like let her breathe? Like, can you just let her do her thing? Because Miley did not ask Trace to do this. Like, this was not like Miley being like, oh my God, Katy's copying me. I need my brother to stand up for me. No. To my knowledge, Miley and Katy are friends. I know they were very good friends for a while. I'm sure they've drifted a little bit now, but like, remember they kissed at the Bangers tour? Like they literally had a full little makeout session. Granted, they did have that Twitter feud after where Katy was like, I just wanted a little kiss and Miley put her tongue in my mouth. But I think they're fine. Like, I don't think there's any beef between them. I think they're like literally good friend. So for Trace to go online and say all of this so out of left field, especially when it's not like Miley is trying to go to space, to my knowledge at least. Like it's not like Miley's like campaigning for this and been saying she wants to be an astronaut and then Katy did it. So I don't get why he feels the need to input himself in this conversation, especially when he is literally he hasn't really been making headlines or anything. Like, he's really just kind of been like doing his own thing. It just felt really weird and really out of left field. And it just like seemed very unnecessary. And again, it just seemed like it's another Cyrus family member using Miley to like put their names in the headlines and bring some relevancy to them. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he releases music in like a month or so. Like, if this is like the beginning of him trying to like get some buzzwords around his name, so then in 2, 3, 4 weeks he's gonna drop a single or something. Like, I don't know. It just seems really strange to me. I don't know. I saw this and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, can they just let Miley breathe? Speaking of Miley, though, it's not necessarily a story, but she is premiering her Something Beautiful movie at Tribeca Film Festival in June in New York, which is so exciting. Tickets go on sale, I think, this week or next week, the 29th, whenever that is. And I am going to do whatever I can to make sure I can get a ticket to this because I have to be there for this. She's doing a premiere of the movie and then a conversation after at the Beacon. So very exciting. And also just really cool that she's premiering her movie at Tribeca Film Festival. That's huge. Like, that's a big deal for anybody to premiere anything there. So for Miley to be doing this, it really shows how much she believes in this project. And she's really putting her all into everything coming out about this album. So I'm really excited for the album, as you guys know. And I'm very excited for this movie. So fingers crossed, send me your good vibes that I get a ticket to this event because I have to be there for this. Switching gears a bit to some Broadway news, which, I love to keep my theater girls fed because at the end of the day, I am a theater kid. Variety has announced that they were doing their first Actors on Actors Broadway edition, which I love. Actors on Actors. I love all of those series. Artists on Artists, like Rolling Stone does. I love Actors on Actors. So I'm very excited for this because we got some Broadway legends for this. So the first episode actually premiered today. It is George Clooney and Patti Lupone. And over the next 5 days, new installments of this series will be coming out, just like they do with the regular Actors on Actors. So like I said, first up, we have George Clooney and Patti Lupone, which I think this is really fun because George Clooney making his Broadway debut this year, but being such a movie legend. Like, obviously George Clooney is one of the greatest actors of all time, but he's stepping into this new zone with Broadway this year. So who better to have this interview with than Patti Lupone, who is a Broadway legend. I mean, she is Broadway, you know what I mean? Like, no, there's never going to be another Patti Lupone. So I love this kind of, like, though George Clooney is very well established in his own name, he's stepping into new territory, but he's stepping into Patti's territory. So I think this was a really fun pairing. Next up, we have Audra McDonald and Jake Gyllenhaal. Couldn't find like a connection there or anything. Like, it wasn't like, oh, this makes sense because of this, but very cool. I mean, I love Audra McDonald. Similar to Patti Lupone, there will never be another Audra McDonald, so very exciting to see that. And then on the 24th, we're getting Sarah Snook and Kieran Culkin, some TV darlings coming to Broadway. Sarah's making her Broadway debut later this year in The Picture of Dorian Gray. Kieran Culkin has been on Broadway before, but he's in a show right now called Glengarry Glen Ross. So some TV actors coming to Broadway, coming together to do this interview. Excited to see what they have to say about. I'm sure they'll talk about, the switch from doing a TV show versus going on Broadway. I'm sure Kieran will have some good tips for Sarah since, like I said, he's been on Broadway, I believe, once before. I know he was on the West End and on Broadway like in 2014, maybe 2015. And then he just made his comeback this year. So I'm excited to see what they have to say. And now these last two interviews are where I really like perk my ears up. I'm excited for the first three, of course, but these final two, Glee Nation, we are getting fed this week. First up on April 25th, we have Nicole Scherzinger, of course, of the Pussycat Dolls and Sunset Boulevard, which I just saw a few weeks ago and it was fabulous. Getting interviewed with and by Jonathan Groff, Jesse St. James. He's also in Just in Time right now on Broadway. And I mean, Spring Awakening. He's been in so many fabulous shows. He is like a Broadway darling himself. So excited for the two of them to sit down and do an interview together. And then this final one, they are truly saving the best for last. We have Cole Escola and Darren Criss. And now, separately, I love these two individuals so much, and the two of them coming together is so incredible and important to me. Cole Escola, writer, producer, starring in Oh Mary, they are just so insanely talented. They are hilarious, they are kooky, they are crazy, they are campy. And then Darren Criss, I mean, questionably my favorite character on Glee, and also like part of my gay awakening, if we're being honest, was Blaine and Kurt, which I think a lot of people in my age demographic can say the same thing. But like Blaine Anderson, I would have died for that man. I would have taken a bullet for the Warblers and for Blaine Anderson specifically. So anything Darren Criss, I'm just automatically going to eat it up. So Darren and Cole coming together for this interview, I am sold. Consider me sat. So like I said, the episodes or the interviews, whatever you want to call them, are premiering as of today, April 22nd. When you're listening to this, if you're listening to this on the day that it comes out, there are already 2 out. But go over to the Variety YouTube channel and you can find them there. I just love these series. I think it's so much fun to see people from the same world but different walks of life coming together and chatting about their experience and, what it was like adapting or what it's like, having new people come on and things like that. So I'm very excited for this. And I love what they're doing with Actors on Actors. I think it's always just like a fun thing to chat about, exciting to watch, and just wonderful stuff happening over at Variety. And the final moment of the week that was just too pop to handle is some Oscar news, which really has the internet in a tizzy. And honestly, I'm really floored by it as well. So on Monday, the Board of Governors announced some new rules for Oscar voting and how Oscar campaigning will go. And the one that's really making the rounds right now, that's really like stirring up the internet, is the Academy is now implementing a new rule that members must now watch all nominated films in each category to be eligible to vote in the final round for the Oscars. You are telling me that for 97 years, we just had the 97th Oscar Awards just a few months ago. For 97 Oscar cycles. Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Cinematography, Best Director. If you haven't seen all of the movies, should that not have been a requirement from day one? Maybe not day one. Maybe, they had to get their feet wet and really figure it out but by the 10th Oscars, this should have been a rule. And the fact that we have made it 97, you heard me correctly, 97, damn near 100 Oscar ceremonies, and the Academy doesn't need to watch every single nominated film is insane to me. That is crazy. And just thinking back on all of the movies and the actresses and the actors who have been nominated and everyone thinks that they've been snubbed, it's oh, they really could have been snubbed because maybe these people just didn't watch the movie, so they just voted for the ones that they saw. I saw one of the people, it was anonymous, they put in a quote, and they said that they didn't get to see The Substance, they didn't like the first Dune movie, so they didn't bother watching Dune 2, and the only movie I think that they said that they saw was Conclave and Amelia Perez. What do you mean? What do you mean? You literally are part of the Academy. You are voting on Hollywood's biggest night for one of the most prestigious awards in these people's lives, and you haven't even seen half the movies. It truly floored me. I was flabbergasted, to say the least, over this being a rule now. Unreal. And also, was I the only one who didn't know that wasn't a rule yet? I had no idea that wasn't a thing until this came up. They just kind of kept that. It's in the terms and conditions, when Apple sends you an update and it's oh, do you agree to the terms? And you just don't read anything. It was in that fine print. That was crazy to me. There's a new achievement in casting category that got announced last year, but it's going to be presented for the first time in 2026. And now, before that actually goes into effect and they start voting, there's going to be a preliminary round of voting to determine a short list of 10 films. And prior to nomination voting, casting director branch members will be invited to view a bake-off presentation of the shortlisted achievements, including a Q&A with designated nominees. So we're really going to start seeing these Academy members and these board members having to do some more FaceTime with these people who are casted and getting these, this casting achievement award, whatever. So this is all good. These are all good changes. It's just crazy that these are just coming into effect now. You would think this would be such a more well-oiled machine and more fastened, I guess. These are some loose ends that should have been tied up a while ago. Granted, the achievement in casting is literally a new thing that's just starting, so I'm glad they're starting it on the right foot. But that first rule, that really floored me. And then the final thing, I don't know if this is good or bad. I have such mixed opinions on AI because I see that there is good with AI and it can be helpful, but I really feel guilty every single time I use it. And I really try not to use it a lot. I really don't use it that often. So when I do, I really feel guilty about it and I try to close out so fast. But now a notable alteration includes an indication that generative AI used in the making of any film will neither help nor harm the chances of achieving a nomination, though each branch will judge the achievement taking into account that degree to which a human was at the heart of the creative authorship when choosing which movie to award. So we saw that be an issue and a topic of conversation this year with The Brutalist and A Complete Unknown. I know The Brutalist, they used AI to perfect their their accents. And I think with A Complete Unknown, they use it to help with like special effects and whatever visual things. And I think there really does have to be a line in like where you can use AI. I mean, Selena Gomez was getting ripped apart for her accent in Emilia Perez, and yet the Brutalists are getting all of this praise over the movie, and they use AI to perfect their accents. It's like, where do we draw the line, and like what's really going to be the defining factor of like what's too much, like how much AI is too much AI? Again, I don't know. I don't love using AI. I use it here and there very sparingly. But I know some people use it every single day and people love it. And I don't, it's a weird conversation. And it's like one of those things. I'm usually very tech savvy and I'm very like tech forward, and I'm all for like when Apple came out with the Face ID, I was like, this is so cool. I love this. And the fingerprint. And, you know, I usually am very up on, like, I'm very for progressing with technology. Something about AI I just can't fully get behind yet. So the way it like affects the environment and is taking jobs away from people, and it's like, it just seems like a bigger beast and a bigger problem that we're gonna have. Like, this is definitely a Black Mirror episode. Something about AI just rubs me the wrong way. However, I do understand that it is the future and it is something that we all kind of have to learn to live with, unfortunately. But that's my take on it. I'm not a conspiracy theory podcast. I'm not getting too far into it, but those are some Oscar updates. Very strange that like this is all coming out now. And like, I just can't get over the Academy now, just now, having to watch all of the nominated films to be able to vote in these categories. That is crazy to me. And now before we get into the main point of the show, which is diving into this new generation of pop stars, and we're really focusing on two ladies that you guys know I love and adore, Miss Chappell Roan and Doechii, I just want to remind you guys that it costs $0 to leave me a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. If you're a YouTube girly, you can go ahead and hit subscribe for the exact same amount of money, $0. It is really the best and easiest way to help support the show and to help me grow and to help new audiences find me. So if you are liking what you're hearing and you know you want to be a little generous this week, it would really mean the world to me if you went ahead and left me a rating. And with that, let's get into the rest of this episode. So like I said, we are chatting all about this new era of pop stars, because as somebody who grew up in, I'm born in the 90s, but I grew up in the early 2000s. So I was really seeing this tabloid darling era of like Lindsay, Paris, Nicole, Britney, Christina, you know, all of these early 2000s girls who were really just like exploited everywhere. And specifically looking at the pop stars, so the Christinas, the Britneys, the Destiny's Child, like we really had this invasive and like overstepping boundary access to these people, because there was no limitation that the paparazzi would go to. They were hounding you at your house. They were waiting outside the restaurant. And of course there's paparazzi still today, but it will never be the way that it was in the early 2000s. Like, it was truly, I mean, Princess Diana, she passed away 1997, I want to say 1998. I know it was in the 90s. I forget the exact year, but she literally passed away from being chased by the paparazzi. And like, just like the way that carried over into the early 2000s, like that wasn't a big enough wake up call. It's crazy. And I mean, when you look back at the early 2000s tabloids, I mean, Britney with the umbrella, I mean, there were just so many major tabloid moments that like wouldn't necessarily have been a tabloid moment had we not had this access to them. So then flash forward to the early 2010s, Lady Gaga, Taylor Swift, Katy, Rihanna, social media is becoming popular. And now we start to get more access to them because they want to give us more access. It's more of an access to the fans because they're telling us, hey, I'm doing this. Hey, here's a photo of me. Like, we were able to get these like real, authentic, in real time updates from these people because social media was taking off. And, you know, we didn't need the paparazzi to show us what they were wearing because they were posting it every day for us, or they were posting it, you know, whenever they wanted us to know what they were doing. I mean, just taking into consideration Rihanna, Katy, Gaga, Miley on Twitter in the early 2010s, like they were posting everything they were doing, every thought, every move they make. Like it was truly a new access point to the celebrities that let us in. And it kind of got this new generation of stans and like people my age who we were like, oh my God, we have this access to them that's not just through the news and the paparazzi, they're giving it to us. And where it was a cool movement and a cool new thing, it did then start to create this new like parasocial kind of relationship with the fans and artists that we saw. And it got dangerous for a while. People were really like putting all of their time into these stan accounts and into Twitter and into these Instagrams because they wanted the celebrity notice and they wanted to, you know, be the one that they recognize and the this and the that. And it became, I mean, I've seen it firsthand so many times with myself and friends, and like there has been so many friendships that have fallen apart over like stupid Twitter drama. Like it's really just, it was such like a blessing and a curse, as most things on social media are. And then you kind of get into like the late 2010s and the early 2020s. We're seeing these artists kind of, they're not the ones necessarily posting on their social media accounts as much, and they're starting these fan accounts, Taylor Nation, Team Sabrina, what is it, Livy's or whatever it is. You know, these artists are creating these stan accounts for themselves as their management to, you know, kind of fill that void and kind of give that, like, there's no hierarchy of who is the biggest fan and who is the biggest account or whatever. And it's this new generation of how we're using social media to connect with these artists. And though Sabrina Carpenter, Olivia Rodrigo, you know, these are newer artists, I think they still kind of fall into that trap of like the early 2000s girls, because that's kind of, they came onto the scene not knowing another way to kind of approach being a pop star. You know, they thought they had to be doing the TikToks and the this and then that. And, you know, in the not the tabloids, but you think of like specifically Sabrina and Olivia with all the Joshua Bassett drama. Like there was all of this hoopla around these things, you know, because we had the access to it and we had the information, which led me to this idea of like these new generation pop stars are kind of going to start giving us like so much less of their personal life and kind of just giving it to us when they want to. And then it really got me thinking, like, what is the next generation of pop stars and how are they going to not fall into these traps? And what is their relationship with their fans and their relationship with the media? And how are they going to do it a different way so they don't have these, you know, explosive moments that we've seen some pop stars have, or these, you know, these crash outs or these burnouts. And, you know, they're always going to have those moments, of course, just because they're humans, but there are ways around it. And I think two of the most perfect examples of artists who we're already seeing do this are Doechii and Chappell Roan. And this week, actually, Doechii was announced as the new Cosmo cover girl, which is so exciting. And you guys know, if you've been listening for a while, I've been saying 2025 is Doechii's year. Like, she is just dominating. Billboard Woman of the Year, the third woman ever to win a Grammy for Best Rap Album. Like, she is just killing it, and there is no stopping her. Just last week, she got announced as an All Things Go headliner. She also released the Anxiety music video, which I did a whole write-up on my Substack about that. So again, if you want to go check that out, I'll have it linked down below. But she's really just showing us that, like, though she has been a 5-year overnight success story, like, this is just the beginning for what she's really capable of. And this Cosmo interview really gave us an insight to how she feels about the last 5 years of her career and like starting on YouTube and really having this come up and what's next for Doechii. So I wanted to dive into a little bit. So they asked her specifically, they were like, you know, you have all of these YouTube videos on your channel. And specifically when she won the Grammy, that video about her quitting her job went viral, because they were like, wow, she quit her job, or she got fired, excuse me, and now she's winning Grammys just 5 years later. So it really shows this like non-conventional success story where she was vlogging and posting all of this online. I mean, even looking at the Anxiety music video, that was a video she filmed for her YouTube channel, and now 5 years later is her first top 10 charting hit. Like, she's really making her own path for herself. And the interviewer for Cosmo said, would you ever scrub your past YouTube videos? To which she said, no, I'm going to leave it. Some of the videos are super cringe, but I think it's all important. I went through a period at 18 where, looking back now, I was running from doing music, but I was just trying to be creative in every other way I possibly could. Some kid out there can watch those videos now to know when she was this age, she was going through that, and it's normal to feel this way. The vulnerability can be super validating. And I think that's such a mature and great way to look at your past self. So many artists like go through eras where they want nothing to do with what they were doing when they were 18, what they were doing in their past. They're so embarrassed by it. And I think it's so important to see these new generation of pop stars embracing it. I think Sabrina Carpenter does a great job at this too, because she's always reposting like the old YouTube videos of her, which they're embarrassing, they're cringy, but who isn't cringy? Who isn't embarrassing? You have to be embarrassing and cringy to get out of it and figure out what's cringy and what's not, and, you know, if it's going to work and if it's not. And I think that Doechii has such a good level-headed like mindset around this, and she's doing it, she's leaving them up. So when the next 16 or 17-year-old girl or boy, whoever wants to make music, they're like, look at Doechii and look at her path. Wow, she was doing just this creative outlet that was just kind of finding her way and finding her rhythm. And I love that she's not erasing all of those videos, because I feel like a lot of artists probably would go back and delete them. And they're literally on her YouTube channel. Like, if you go to watch any of her music videos, that is the account where all of these videos live. So it's not like she's making a separate channel. She's not doing anything different. She's fully embracing it, and they are there to watch. And it is really inspiring to see that she got fired, she started doing YouTube, and now look at where she is 5 years later. Like in the grand scheme of somebody's life, 5 years sounds so long. 5 years is not that long. In the grand scheme of your life, like if I look at my life right now, that is a sixth of my life. I have lived 5/6 of my life. That's such a crazy sentence to say. In 5 years, like that's not a long time when you look at the grand scheme of things. And I think it's just a really good reminder that like it's never too late to start a journey or to start your 5-year overnight success story. There's always a next chapter, and it's really what you make of it. He also asked her, how long after something happens to you do you have to process to write it? And she said specifically with Denial is a River, that song took her over a year to process. She didn't want to give her ex any promo in her music, and she ended up talking about 3 different exes in that song. People think it's just one, but I decided I had to talk about it for me. So she's giving us a little insight because everybody's creative process is so different, and it really gives us an insight on how they kind of are coping with things. And, I think of artists like Lorde, who whenever she's releasing music, she's like, I'm releasing it because I've lived for the last 4 years. I wasn't just writing music because I wanted to put out an album and put out a hit. These are artists who are like, no, I need to process something. And some artists, like there's like Taylor Swift and Sabrina Carpenter's in the world who don't need to process things for over a year or for too long, where they can write. And that's great. But I think, again, showing these different creative processes, this is not shaming anybody. Everybody's creative process is different, but it's really impressive to see when an artist has one type of creative process and one has another, and they're still having these major success stories. So again, just a reminder that like this new generation of pop stars, I think they're really going to remind us that like you don't have to create art as soon as you get hurt. You can sit with it and you can think about it. And I think, especially like me specifically, I don't know if I've talked about this, but I recently started therapy about 6 months ago, and like learning that you don't have to react to something right away. You don't have to, have a decision on how you feel about that in that moment. You're allowed to sit with things. You're allowed to let things marinate. And I think had I known that a few years ago, I would have had a lot easier time, processing certain things that have happened in my life. I'm not getting deep on the podcast, but I'm saying like it's such a nice reminder that like you don't need to process everything and put it on your next album. It can be a year, it can be 2 years. You can go back. We look at these albums sometimes with these artists and we're like, oh my God, they just released this song. It must be about their most recent relationship. And it's like, actually, it could be about something that happened 10 years ago, and maybe they're just processing it now. And I think it's a good reminder that like not everything has to be solved within 24 hours or within a month. You really can sit with things and revisit it if you have to. And I saw that excerpt and I was like, ooh, if I had this 5 years ago, this would have sat with me. They also talked a little bit about her impact already on hip hop and, music and culture in general. And she said, this is such a Leo thing to say, but my literal existence as a queer Black woman is a major contribution to the hip hop genre. I'm speaking truthfully from a queer Black woman's perspective and being honest about my life through my lens. It's amazing. That perspective is being highlighted and we need queer perspectives. And to that I say, hell yeah. I love looking at Doechii and Chappell, kind of the 2 main pillars of this episode, looking at the fact that like 2 of the biggest stars right now are a Black queer woman and a queer woman who came from a town in the Midwest that really probably wasn't that supportive in, any type of queer media. Seeing the 2 of them really being so vocal and being this next generation of pop stars, it makes me so excited and happy to see like how this trickles down through the next generation. They also said, as fame continues to grow, how do you feel about hopping online and clarifying situations? I saw you respond to accusations that you were lip syncing during your Grammy performance, to which Doechii responded, am I going to be constantly online responding? No, that's not something I like to practice. But I do 100% believe that there are times and places to defend myself. If that happens to be through the internet, then maybe. But it's not sustainable for me to constantly be going back and forth and reacting to people online. With the Grammys, I was halfway joking, like, please don't play with me. I don't cheat. I don't cut corners. And I take my performances really seriously. So I was clapping back a little bit. And again, kind of looking back at that early Twitter, pop culture, pop girl era of Twitter where they were just posting whatever they wanted. They were clapping back at each other. Rihanna was clapping back at fans. Like seeing that Doechii is like, no, like I know my place and I know when I should get online and clap back at these people, and I know when I shouldn't. And I know when like I know my worth, and not that these artists before her didn't know their worth, but it was so new. They really were able to like go into this new space and kind of warn the next generation of pop stars to be like, hey, just so you know, this just going to happen. And when you think like Katy Perry, I know specifically has given so many of these new pop girls her phone number. As soon as they meet, she's like, hey, I've been through what you're going through. I know like Olivia Rodrigo said it before. I know what you're going through. Here is my number. Text me if you need anything. I think that's the kind of, the kind of collaborations that we need to see. We need to see the previous pop girls kind of sticking up for this next generation and really showing them like, hey, we've been through it. Here's how we handled it. And here's our advice on how to do it. So seeing that Doechii is already kind of being like, I know when I need to clap back and I'm going to clap back. Don't get me wrong. You're not going to walk all over me. But she's also like, I don't need to get online for every single thing. Like, I don't need to go online and comment back on everything everybody's saying about me, because again, that's not a narrative or a perspective that's going to get her anywhere, which is why I think she's getting to the heights that she's getting to already. I mean, she is Spotify's most streamed female rapper right now. That is insane. Every single album on her every single song on her mixtape, has over 5 million streams. It is incredible watching this projection. And I think her mindset, her creative process, her giving her the success, because she's not letting every little thing get to her like some of the people in the past might have. And then the final two things we're going to chat about regarding Doechii, they said, what's the next way in which you hope to make people a little uncomfortable? And Doechii said, on my next project, I plan on having conversations. They might be hard for some people to have, but I think I want to bring up a dialogue about topics that might be hard for people to hear. I don't want to give them away, but we're going to have a conversation on the album. And just like I said earlier, I recently started therapy, and there are some conversations that if I would have had them a few years ago, I probably would have opened my eyes and been like, oh shit, like this could have been avoided, like I'm not dwelling on the past in that sense, but I do think there is a taboo around certain conversations. And I talked to a lot of my friends about like, family things that we go through and how my parent generation at least are so, things will happen with families or whatever, and you kind of just like brush it under the rug and keep going. And I think that's a way, like that's not a healthy or appropriate way to do it. A lot of people are raised, me included, to like not be willing to have these conversations that are kind of uncomfortable. And something that I've learned in the last few years just through growing up and getting older is like having those conversations, hard or not, is what's going to make your life easier in the long run. So seeing that Doechii is kind of introducing this younger generation to that idea already, I think is something really important, and it's something that is really needed, especially in the Black queer space. So this is just, I have nothing but glowing things to say about everything Doechii is saying. And then the final thing, they said, where do you see yourself in 20 years from now? And what do you hope that you maintain? And she said, I hope I'm resting. I hope to be writing books or to have other creative facets that don't generate money, doing things just to do them, not as a job. Hopefully I'm wealthy enough to never have to work again. And I hope I maintain how I express myself. I never want to tense up or think because I'm this old, I can't do this. No matter how old I get, I'm still twerking on the floor. I want to maintain that everybody's perspective of Jayla can do or should do would never affect what Jayla wants to do. And again, just a great head on her shoulders, it seems. Like she knows herself. She knows what she wants to do. She wants to keep being creative. And maybe, YouTube was her creative outlet for 5 years, and now it's music. And when music isn't her creative outlet, she'll go on to writing or doing something else. And I think she's really got a clear vision of what she wants to do. And I think, just like she says in Nosebleed, she's like, what would happen if Doechii didn't win? I guess we'll never know. She's literally just going to continue on this up and up. And I'm so excited to be cheering her on through this career. And I thought the whole Cosmo interview, I cut out a lot, obviously, because I can't talk about the whole thing on this show, but it was a really great interview. The photo shoot was gorgeous. She did a video also. Oh my God, the video, I didn't even talk about it, reacting to some of her old videos and performances and old songs. But watching Doechii watch her Grammy performance on this Cosmopolitan video, you could see how proud and happy she was of this performance. She had bronchitis while she was doing that performance, and she still outperformed everybody that night. She was truly unbelievable, and she knows it. And I think that's another thing that's great about Doechii. She's not afraid to admit when she fucking eats a performance, a song, an outfit, and anything. She knows she is greatness, and she is so confident in everything that she does. And it's not a cockiness, it's a confidence. And you can tell there's a difference. She's not like, I'm great, I'm this and that. She's like, no, I am performing at a higher caliber than some other artists are, and I should be celebrated for it. And to that, I will always celebrate. Doechii is just She's true. We are watching greatness. I've been saying it for a while now. I've been saying this for probably since the start of the podcast. You can go back, I'm sure, to one of my 2023 episodes where I'm talking about like Doechii is going to be the next big thing and how here I am, April 2025, just gloating about how much I love her and seeing her success. So it is just so wonderful to see the right people becoming famous. And now switching gears over to Chappell Roan. She was on Las Culturistas last week, and she is kind of the other pillar I'm looking at in terms of like these new generation of pop stars that are kind of doing their own thing and marching at their own beat. I mean, just thinking about Chappell in the last year and her like unconventional release methods, like usually when a pop girl releases a single, there is an album to follow. She dropped Good Luck Babe last year and didn't release anything else until The Giver this year. Like that is not a traditional release method. Granted, she did have her album come out not long before Good Luck Babe, but there's not just like, that's not something people usually do. You know, it's not, you don't just do these one-off singles with no album tied to it. Most labels wouldn't do that, but she is not most pop stars. You know, these new artists are kind of going to be doing more creative things. They're going to be doing what they want and not just following this, you know, ABC cookie cutter method of how to release an album. So like I said, she's already just thinking about her as a whole, this unconventional release method where we got Good Luck Babe. We still don't have The Subway. The Giver, she sang on SNL, which like singing an unreleased song on SNL is such a bold move to do, but then not releasing it for like 4 or 5 months after is even bolder. So again, just seeing this new generation of pop stars who they know themselves, they know their plan, they know what they're going to do, and they're not going to follow the cookie cutter steps of every single thing a label or an artist tells them to do. But looking at Chappell and just looking at her, you know, I mean, of course, last year she was in the news every other week for setting boundaries with paparazzis, with fans. She was saying, don't come up to me and ask for a photo if I'm at dinner. I don't want to take your photo. I don't want to take a photo with you, which caused the biggest uproar online. And I've given my 2 cents on it. I think she's totally valid in that. And I think like I said, that parasocial kind of relationship that fans have with artists kind of, it oversteps a boundary sometimes. And this is an example of when it does. Even the way that she would like clap back a paparazzi or interviewers on the red carpet, be like, don't yell at me. Don't talk to me like that. Everyone was like, she's being a brat, da da da. She's standing by what she did. She's like, no, this is who I am. You're not going to look at me like a piece of meat on the red carpet and just act, you know, talk to me however you want. That's not how it's going to work. I am giving you a job, quite literally. Like Chappell, to these interviewers and to the photographers, is providing them income. So yeah, give her respect, which is not a crazy thing to ask for. But getting into the interview, of course, Bowen Yang, one of the co-hosts of the podcast, he talked about the Moo Dang sketch on SNL when he was talking about Chappell in that sketch. And Chappell's fans really went after Bowen for that. They were like, how could you be so rude and make a joke about her and her mental health and this and that after Bowen had just did the Interview magazine with her. Like he interviewed her for Interview magazine. Like it was just like this whole thing. Everyone was up in flames over Bowen Yang and whatever. So Bowen started the conversation and said, it's like your fans are obsessed with you and so they will die if anything goes wrong. It's like, I need to protect this person or I feel like I'm projecting what I might need in that situation. To which Chappell responded, people don't have to get mad on my behalf. We're fine. So what is there to be mad about? Also, this is what happens. It's SNL, it's comedy. And for people to, even if you were to push it further, it's harmless, it's comedy. And I don't understand. I just don't know the line anymore. Even if you didn't think the Moo Dang sketch was funny or anything, you don't need to say anything. You can always just not say something. And you know what? People sticking up for me in that situation or not sticking up for me made me feel no different. I didn't feel protected and I didn't feel unprotected because I didn't need it either way because I was not offended. And again, it kind of gives us that idea of like fans are so protective of their favorite artists and they think that anything slightly offensive or harmful or negative said about them is going to send them into a spiral and an uproar and just like completely ruin everything they're doing. And it's like, she's saying directly, I don't need you to stand up for me. If I'm offended by something, I'll stand up for myself. And I think that's a very healthy relationship to have. And I don't think we have many celebrities who say this about their fans where they're like, stop acting like this. Like, stop sticking up for me. Stop defending me like this. Like, you're just making it seem insane. If Chappell was to come out and be like, hey, this wasn't cool, sure, go ahead, defend her. But the fact that people just like jump down anyone's throat who talks negatively about her, and this goes for all fandoms. Like when you look at any fandom, one person says a negative thing about another artist and they are the devil and they're this and they're pulling up old this and that. And oh my God, it's just like nobody can have an opinion. If your opinion isn't the same, if you like, you can't say one thing, a good thing about an artist and then say one slightly bad thing about the artist. without everyone being like, well, remember when you said this and you used her for this and da-da-da. Like, it's just such a vicious cycle. And that's what I was saying earlier about that like toxic parasocial fan relationship that really needs to be dissolved over the next few years. I think it's just something that like is so incredibly toxic and detrimental to people's mental health. Let's, as hard as that might be to say or to like for people to hear, like there is such a how do I say this? There's such a protective and like a need, like you guys are doing a service or a job to protect this artist who they're not asking for you to protect them. They're not asking for you to stand up for them. It's nice and it's great. And yeah, you love them, you want to support them. But I do think there is a big disconnect in where like a fan needs to say something and when they don't. And just like she said, you can always just not say anything. And I feel like people need to remember that like there's always the option to not say something. And that's something that I've really tried me with the podcast being like, I always try to not say something, but in terms of like on Twitter, I would see something I didn't agree with when I was like in my early 20s and I would automatically reply or quote tweet it with something sassy. And now what I do is I will quote tweet that tweet and save it to my drafts. And that's enough. I don't need to send it into the internet. You don't always need to say something. You can just be quiet. And you know, I think a lot of people would really benefit from being quiet. They also talked about The Giver and, you know, this whole service tops idea, which was an article that came out, I believe it was from Them magazine, and how they're like, oh, Chappell's a service top and this is what it means. And Chappell had no idea what that even meant before that. And she kind of was like, this is the media, again, taking something I'm doing or saying and spinning it out of control, which is so easy to do, especially in the current day that we live. Everyone looks at lyrics and looks at music videos and promotions, whatever, and they're like, what does this mean? Where is the Easter egg? And I do it and I don't do it. Like sometimes I'm really in, sometimes I'm not. But she really made a good point. She was saying how the media will take something and just make more of it. And she's so like, I can't even just release a song about like a funny joke about like being the giver because now suddenly I'm a service top and there has to be a label about my sexuality. And it kind of goes back to that idea of like Chappell and Doechii being these queer women opening up about their queerness and opening up about their sexuality and being like, hey, this doesn't need to be a thing. This does not need to be a spectacle. And the queer community is already kind of looked at as a spectacle and that we're already kind of classified as people who are just like sex obsessed and, you know, everything sexual. And like, look at the way people look at drag queens. They're like, they are trying to groom our children. They're trying to, you know, convince them to have sex with them and they're pedophiles. And I'm like, every single day there's an article about a police officer, about a priest, about a church camp counselor who is touching little boys, and it is never a drag queen. And the queer community really just get this like sexualization. They think that's like all we're about. You know, there's nothing more to us than being sex crazed. And I think having Doechii and Chappell as these kind of next generation pop stars to really kind of open up the conversation about like, no, we're lesbians, we're queer people. We are not here to just be like, oh, I'm a giver, so that means I'm a service top. I think it's just a really important conversation that they're opening up. And it's so important to have people like this with these messages in the public eye who aren't afraid to talk about it. It's not taboo anymore. They can have these conversations and not have to worry that like everything they say is going to be ripped apart, because it's going to get ripped apart anyway. Regardless of what they say, it's going to get dissected just like The Giver. I also thought this was really like a really important and kind of eye-opening moment for probably a lot of queer people. And I resonated with it a lot. She said that her first experience with drag was she was really intimidated by it and didn't really understand it and like didn't know how to process it. And I think this is a really common situation with people. I think drag, and if you know me at all, you know I am the biggest drag fan. I love drag, not just Drag Race. I love local drag. I love everything about just drag kings, drag queens, everything about it. And that wasn't always the case for me. So to hear her talk about this, I'm like, oh my God. I remember like the first time I saw RuPaul on TV, I remember mom being like, so some men dress up as women and they're drag queens and this is what they do. And, you know, it's fabulous. My mom was very, very, you know, inclusive. She loved all different people, all different walks of life. You know, it wasn't like she was like, this is drag and it's bad. She was like, no, watch this. Like, you're going to love it. And I kind of just like didn't get it. And then I remember it had to be like a few years, maybe 2-3 years later, I saw Rocky Horror for the first time. And I was like, what am I watching? Like, I loved it, but I didn't get it. And it wasn't for a couple years that I finally understood how drag is really such a creative, expressive thing. You know, it's just like Doechii recording her music videos and she needed a creative outlet. That's all that drag is. Drag is a celebration of, you know, your creativity and art coming forward. And it's just a different way to express yourself and express who you are and how you want to celebrate pop culture and yourself and, you know, whatever it may be, whatever your drag style is. You know, there is like an intimidating sense to it, but when you look at it and you boil it down, it's just drag. So I think Chappell Roan, who is now she has local drag queens open for her every single show on her tour, seeing her relationship with drag, and you know, she was like, yeah, I was intimidated by it and I didn't get it at first, and now I love it. I think it opens up that conversation for a lot of people to be like, okay, maybe I didn't get it at first, let me do a little more research and let me really educate myself on what drag is. And as somebody who I love everything there is about drag, it's thrilling, it's exciting, it's fulfilling, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, it's stupid, it's campy, it's fun, it's everything that I just love about the world. You know, I'm like, no, this is such a canon event for people, and especially queer people. You know, you're already like trying to figure out who you are, and you're trying to be like, am I part of the queer community? Am I gay? Am I bi? Am I this? Am I that? Do I have to label it? And then this whole new sector of the queer community might come in, and it's drag, and it's over the top, and it's expressive, and it's this, and you're like, oh my gosh, like it's so much to digest sometimes. But once you finally do, it is just truly like a world changing thing. I have such like a love and special place in my heart for the drag community. So her speaking about this, I was like on the subway snapping. I was like, yes, she's saying exactly what I'm thinking. And again, I just think it's so important to have people like this in public spaces the way Chappell and Doechii are. They are winning Grammys. They are in front of our eyes. And they're not the first pop stars to ever celebrate drag or celebrate queerness or whatever. But, you know, it's not like they're coming into it leading with it. You know, for so long, it was like you had to be categorized as, oh, you're a lesbian pop star. You're a gay pop star. You're a this, you're that. And they're going into it like, yeah, we're queer, but we're also so many other things. And it's not just putting them in that box. And I think had it not been for, you know, so many drag artists or LGBTQIA plus artists in the past that kind of fought that battle for them, they wouldn't be able to do it the way that they do. But I think now that we are in a better place with, you know, people accepting it, or for the most, you know, let me not get into that, but, you know, for the most part, there's more of an acceptance and understanding around it. I think they're in such a good place in the way that they are communicating their queerness and their, not just their queerness, their boundaries, and, you know, the way that they are allowing people into their lives, and the way that they're going to stand up for themselves to be like, no, you don't need to know this about me. You don't need to stand up for me. You don't need to take a photo of me. You don't need all this. Like, I think it's really it's a little abrupt and a little abrasive right now to people. They're not really understanding it. But I think this is kind of the next generation of pop stars. You know, they're not going to take all this shit from people. They're not going to be allowing all these people in to, like, you know, perceive them and come up with these ideas and this and filling in these narratives. Like, no. This is my life. This is my art. This is how I'm going to do it. You can either get with it or get lost. And I'm very excited to see like what is in store for this next generation of pop stars and watching it happen in real time. And I think also doing the podcast and like being a little more hyper aware. I've always been obviously in tune with who's the new pop star and who's this, who's that. But you know, getting a little more journalistic with it. It opens my eyes to like the differences between the last few decades and what's changed and like what needs to change and what's going to stay the same, and kind of how they get intermingled, if that makes sense, and how they kind of mesh together, you know? Am I just rambling? No, that makes sense, right? Yeah, that makes sense. But yes, that is kind of, you know, where I'm at. I think it's really exciting to watch this. And you guys know I've been loving Chappell and Doechii for a while, and they're not the only next generation of pop stars. There's so many people. We're going to have so many huge people that we don't even know about yet in the next 5 years. I mean, look at Doechii, a 5-year overnight success story. Chappell was releasing music for like 9 years and now she's huge. So there's so many artists out there that are going to be to this level in the next few years that we don't even know about yet. And I'm really excited to see how they fit into this landscape of this boundary setting pop star, if that makes sense. But that wraps up our main segment of the show, which means we have made it to our TV recap. And just like I told you guys weeks ago, Anya Nerve is America's next drag superstar. Oh my God. So of course we had the Drag Race finale, and I am just over the moon. I am so thrilled that Anya Nerve is our current reigning drag queen. Like I am thrilled. I've been rooting for her since like week 3 or 4, I would say. And I just am so happy to see that she finally got the crown that she deserved. But let's get into this finale. I really love this finale format of the original song. I think it's a lot of fun. The lip sync is always obviously exciting and we want to see it. And like when they do like the lip sync for your life, the lip sync. Oh my God, why am I blanking? When they like do the lip sync for the crown and like two queens go, they knock each other out. Then we get the top 2. I think doing this is a little more fun because it's that reminder of like who they are and how far they came in this competition. Kicking it off with Jules. This was so funny. And I think Jules has really come so far in this competition. So watching her do this, this physical comedy number, which I would not have expected this from Jules at week 1 at all. I would not think she had this comedic timing in her. I did not think she had all of these like skills and chops. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't think she was going to be in the top 4 in the first few weeks. She was not on my radar to go as far as she did. And I'm so thrilled to see that she proved me wrong because she is truly a knockout star. We also had Lexi, who did such a fun and energetic performance. And she truly bookended her time on Drag Race perfectly with that first performance doing it on the roller skates and the last one doing it on the roller skates. It just kind of reminded us that like she's still the same Lexi from the beginning, but she's kind of evolved and she's a new diva now. She's finding her voice, she's finding herself, she's realizing she can do it and she is worth it and she does deserve to be in this top 4 because she's so talented, which isn't something she had in that first week. She's come a really long way in her experience on Drag Race. And then we had Anya, and I mean, she just exuded winner energy from the beginning of this performance. There wasn't too many thrills, wasn't too many tricks, wasn't too many flips, but she still had that energy. She was like, yeah, I am that bitch. She has an energy about her where she just like exudes confidence, it feels like. Like she just has a magnetic force around her. And as soon as she got on that stage, I was like, how could she not be the winner? How could she not get this crown when she is on that stage bringing like truly superstar energy? Oh, it was phenomenal. I loved it. I also loved her song. I thought it was really fun. I thought it was really good. And then the final performance was Sam. This was phenomenal. I mean, she was really diving into that pageantry that she has. She was like, I am a pageant girl. Do not forget it. And she just ate it up. I mean, that red carpet moment was so much fun. Taking off her little dress, walking on a red carpet, their reveals, lifting her up. And her parents, or her mom and her sister in the crowd, they were going crazy for her. It was so cute. It was such a good performance. I really think all 4 of them did a standout job on these performances. And I was so happy to see that they all celebrated their run on Drag Race and like showed us their evolution, but still, it was still true to who they were. It was wonderful. I loved all 4 of these. And then before we find out the final 2, we find out that Crystal Envy has won Miss Congeniality. I wasn't sure who was going to win this. Like I didn't have a prediction. Usually I can give at least like one person. I honestly wasn't sure this season, but I am very happy with Crystal getting this. I think it was deserved and I can see why the queens would vote that. And then we find out the top 2 are no other than Jules and Anya, which I am thrilled about. It could have been any of these as long as Anya was one of them. It could have been Anya and Sam, Anya Lexi, Anya Jules. I would have been happy. But seeing Jules really rise up from the flames, if you want to call it, like she wasn't necessarily a front runner at the beginning and she really fought her way to that spot and it was so well deserved. So we see that Jules and Anya are now going to lip sync to Abracadabra. I hated this lip sync. Can I be honest? I did not like it at all on either front. I don't think Jules tore it up. I don't think Anya tore it up. I think both of them had never heard this song before the lip sync. It wasn't great. Anya was giving a little more like gaga, kooky, weird kind of, it was a little more out there than Jules with her like, not pageantry, but her more like drag, like the reveals and the this and the that. Like Anya was a little more like kooky with it, a little more gaga, but I just didn't think this was a great lip sync overall. I wasn't gagging the way I would want to gag to an Abracadabra lip sync. However, I will say Lexi doing all of her reveals just on stage, I was like, what the fuck? She was about to give us a Gaga Coachella performance. Like she was about to really pull out the stops for this. Do I think Lexi would have ended up winning the season if she did it? No, I think Anya kind of had the crown regardless. But I was like, God damn, we could have had a cool lip sync. Lexi did say she's going to film her lip sync as like a video, like a music video now, because everyone's reacting to her reveals so well. So I'm very excited for that. And then we come to find out that Anya Nerve is the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race season 17. I could not be happier, truly. If you've been listening, you know I've been rooting for her for weeks. I think she is such a fabulous queen. The fact that she doesn't even do drag full time, she has a full-time job, she does this on the side, it's so impressive. She is just so wonderful and so deserving of this title. I couldn't be happier. Lots of conversations online saying she didn't deserve it. And to that I say, were we watching the same season? Like, were we both watching season 17? Because clearly if you don't think Anya deserved that win, even if she wasn't your favorite, to sit there and say that Anya didn't deserve the win is insane. She was phenomenal all season long, and I'm going to leave it at that because I will get a little more worked up if I keep going into it. But that is a wrap on RuPaul's Drag Race season 17, our second season that we've recapped on Too Pop to Handle. So crazy. I feel like we just started the season and now it is over, but don't sweat. RuPaul does not like to let us breathe at all, and All Stars 10 starts in 2 weeks. I'll probably recap it. I don't think I have anything else that I'm watching that I want to recap. So I'll probably recap All Stars 10, but we will see. But regardless, such a fun season to recap. I really liked season 17. Thought it was a really solid group of girls and they really all brought something different. And we will see what is next for RuPaul's Drag Race. And wrapping up the TV recap means we have made it to our final segment of the week, my yes and my mess of the week. My yes being something I am loving and my mess being something I'm not loving. So we always start things on a high note here at Too Pop to Handle, which means my yes of the week is no other than Miss Anne Hathaway at the Ralph Lauren New York fashion show last week. Holy shit. I love Anne Hathaway. She's definitely been a yes on the show before. I don't think I've ever said one bad thing about Anne Hathaway in my life. And I'm not going to start now, but she looked unbelievable last week at this fashion show. People are saying she got work done. I don't care what she did. It does not bother me if you get worked, if you do this, whatever. Regardless, she looks truly unbelievable. I was gagged. And I think she's someone who is just a natural beauty. She's always been pretty. She's always been gorgeous. I love her. I don't think she needed to get any work done. If she even did get work done, I also hate the fact that people just jump to, they got work done. They got a facelift and they did this, they did that. And even if they did, who gives a fuck? But regardless, she looked jaw-dropping. When I saw these photos of her at this fashion show, I truly was like, what the fuck is she doing? She's taking the substance. She looks unbelievable. And she has so many fun projects coming up. She's going to be they're going to do Princess Diaries 3 and they're doing Devil Wears Prada 2. And I believe she's starring in the adaptation of a book movie. I'm forgetting the name of it, but she's going to, oh my God, what is it? She just posted about it. She's got all these new projects coming up. I just think it's going to be a really good year for Miss Anne Hathaway. And she just looks better than ever. She is truly aging like fine wine. And that is what happens when you are unproblematic. We love to see it. We stand Anne Hathaway over at Too Pop to Handle, and we always will. And my mess this week. Now, this is something that I am truly floored by. And I saw this come across my For You page, and it's not necessarily something that I would always see come across my For You page. But when I did, I was floored. I had to do research. I was Googling, I was TikToking, I was Twitter searching. I was floored because if you did not know, the Minecraft movie came out a few weeks ago. I don't know when it came out, but I didn't even know they were making a Minecraft movie because that is just not my demographic. However, what has come across my For You page is something that is so unbelievably insane to me. So in my research, I learned that in Minecraft, there is this move that you can do in the actual game called a chicken jockey. Now, a chicken jockey it's like an unstoppable move. It's like a zombie comes down, rides a chicken's shoulders, and it can pretty much do anything. It can kill anyone. It can run fast. It's a big deal. And it can only happen 0.5% of the time in the game. So it's very rare. It's a big deal when it happens. And now in the Minecraft movie, there is a scene where Jack Black and Jason Momoa are in this wrestling ring across from this chicken. Saying this feels insane, but they're standing across from this chicken, and a zombie comes down from a box, gets on the chicken's shoulders, and Jack Black says chicken jockey. And what is ensuing in these movie theaters after he says those words is unspeakable. People are going insane. They are throwing huge buckets of popcorn. People are setting off fireworks in movie theaters when this happens. People are bringing live chickens into the movie theater to raise up when this chicken jockey happened. And now I am all for fandemonium. Trust me, I am all for getting excited and having a moment. That is what this podcast is all about. People coming together over a pop culture moment that really just like excites them. However, ruining a movie theater like that and ruining a movie experience for other people, not just the people in that theater, think about the people around you in other theaters. The way that they are truly disrupting, the way that they are just erupting is unbelievable. And if they were just like cheering, getting up, sure, great. Fireworks, popcorn, confetti, chickens, they are throwing things, they are filming, they are just going insane. And I'm like, this is so unnecessary. And also, let's not forget that when the Barbie movie came out, all of these movie buffs and all these movie bros were laughing at the girls and the gays going to the theater dressed in pink because they were excited for the Barbie movie. But now you guys are bringing live chickens and fireworks into the Minecraft movie, and everyone's supposed to just be like, oh, it's just boys being boys. There's a bigger message to this, there's more to this than just the Minecraft movie, but it's insane what is ensuing in these movie theaters over Jack Black muttering out these two words. It is unreal. I can't. I literally am like, I saw this happening and I truly was like, there's no way. Like this isn't real. This is fake. And then I did some research and I was like, oh my God, some of these movie theaters are literally spending 3 hours cleaning up these movie theaters after and having to push back their other movies. They're having to refund people. And it doesn't affect like the AMCs and, the bigger movie theaters, but there's some independently owned movie theaters that they're having to refund people all of their money for this movie because people are ruining the experience. And it's like, that's their income. That is, it's like, don't do it anywhere. This is not me saying go to AMC and cause a ruckus. Trust me, because I'm an AMC A-lister and I don't want to hear the bullshit when Minecraft is playing next door to me. No. But what I'm saying is like, there's just like a lack of respect and a lack of decency and common decency, I guess we can call it, in these movie theaters. They're having to stop the movie at the scene and send in security and police to be like, hey, if you do anything, you're out. It's gone too far. Cheer, clap, sure. Confetti, fireworks, popcorn, you are insane. You are insane, and your parents should be embarrassed. Because I'm embarrassed for them, so I hope that they are also embarrassed. And that's why I don't have kids. What are you going to do? Anywho, that being said, thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Too Pop to Handle. If you liked what you heard and you're listening to us as a podcast, go ahead and leave me a 5-star rating. It would really mean the world to me. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and hit subscribe, give me a big thumbs up, drop a comment down below. Like I've said throughout the episode, if you would like any other pop culture moments from the week that are just too pop to handle, head over to my Substack. I'll have it linked down below, but it is just toopoptohandle.substack.com. I send out weekly newsletters every weekend of just some extra things that went on between episodes that won't make it to the main show. You can follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Too Pop to Handle. My personals are at Andrew Nucatola. I'll have everything linked down below. And with that, I will catch you guys in the next episode. Bye.